I'm going to assume yes. So we have one Italian, one Spanish, and two Japanese. So I'm going to end up using Japanese Canvas shell as the example. It's basically the same information. Where it's different, though, I'll try to mention that. Okay. So when you go into the Canvas shell, all right, and basically, if you need to contact us, you can get the information to contact us under the LLC information. All right, so there's a lot of information there. But also just scrolling down, you'll find our email address, a link to our website, a link to the virtual LLC, which is this, okay? And the hours we're open. Our actual virtual LLC closes at 8 p.m. And it just so happened that I scheduled this for after the virtual LLC closed. So if you log in during our open hours, you will find at least one LLC employee online in the Zoom meeting waiting, and they'll answer questions for you and help you out with anything that you have need to know about. All right. So I know that for Italian and Japanese, Rosetta Stone is a required software to use. It's not just optional. So when we talk about Rosetta Stone, you know, we actually have two software available, Mango Languages and Rosetta Stone. They have completely different learning philosophies. Rosetta Stone doesn't translate anything. They want you to guess. They want you to learn by making mistakes. They use pictures for everything. Mango Languages will translate everything into English, and they work on conversation and sentences right away, whereas Rosetta Stone is mostly focused on words and phrases, and then they keep adding more words and phrases and so forth based around topics. So both of those software are world famous, though Rosetta Stone is by far largest. There's some information here. And so for Japanese, I assume you're both level 1 students. So you'll be starting at unit 1 or 2 if you are. If you are happen to be a level 2 student, they want you to start at unit 6 in Japanese, just because that's, you know, level 1 starts with man, girl, boy, you know, woman. So it starts pretty low. So they want you to, if you're in a level 2, they want you to start higher than that. There are brand new instructions here for you. One thing that's you'll want to pay attention to is the instructions at the end here for the app. All right. So just reviewing a little bit here, Rosetta Stone, going down. It's free for you guys because you are a Mount SAC student. And all you'll need to do is have your Mount SAC portal username and password. However, I've noticed since Mount SAC upgraded to this new identity server, that now, because I'm already logged into Canvas, when I click on that login to Rosetta Stone, it just automatically logs me in. It doesn't even take me to a login screen. So I don't know if that's just me or if that's for everybody, but the very first time you go to Rosetta Stone in any of the languages, it's going to ask you to take a language goals survey. You can go through it as quickly as possible. It basically asks you why you want to study it, how many minutes a week, etc. Now, for Spanish, you would also have a placement test in here after the survey that it would ask you to take. And basically, if you were beginning level Spanish, you would just click skip, 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 skip on the answers. Because if you guess, you're likely to guess correctly. And then you might end up in a higher level than what you want to be. So, but for any of the Italian also will have a placement test. The non-romantic languages do not have a placement test. So Korean, Arabic, Spanish, Korean, Arabic, Japanese, and Chinese do not have a placement test. They just have the survey. Regardless, if you're in level 1, all of you probably will place in the lower level of Rosetta Stone, which is Foundations. So that's where you would click to actually get started. All right. And you'll see there is a menu where you can choose different topics. If you probably will start at Unit 1, but if that gets too boring, too easy, then you can skip up to Unit 2. All right. You always have to allow the microphone if you have problems, if you're not a techie person to have problems with the microphone, go ahead and look at this carefully about allowing the microphone, because you always have to set that up for Rosetta Stone. But this is what I was talking about for the app, the Rosetta Stone app, and because there's this big blue button that says get started, but you want to click under that little tiny words that say login. You don't want to click get started. So if you click in the wrong place in the Rosetta Stone app, it's going to ask you for money. So that's how you're going to know you're in the wrong part of the app. Also, again, on the next screen, it has 2 big buttons there. You don't want those at the bottom of the screen. I had to use a magnifier to get it this big, but it'll say, I have an SSO code. So you want to click there, and then your SSO code is MTSAC. All right. And then you'll click next. And then on the app, you will see the Mount SAC identity server, and you'll put in your Mount SAC username and password. Now, every semester, the very first time you click on Rosetta Stone, in order to activate it, you need to be in a browser. All right. So for most people, that means being in a computer. So on a computer. So we deactivate at actually the very first day of each semester, we deactivate all the accounts. But in order to activate your account and start where you were before, all you got to do is on a computer, log into Canvas, and then click log into Rosetta Stone, and it will automatically activate your account again. All right. So the reason the activation is important is because if you have used Rosetta Stone before and you like apps, and so you're using the app, you may spend a lot of time on the app, and the app may tell you that you have 2 hours, but when you log in on a computer, it might say you have 3 minutes. Okay. That's because you had not logged into the computer before. You skipped a step and just went directly to the app. It will synchronize eventually if you do, as long as you get to a computer and click login, it will activate. You'll notice that there's my activity hours down here. So it has an all time in real tiny letters, and then it has for this month. Okay. You'll see the app gives you minutes for the app, and gives you minutes for the total minutes all together. All right. The very first time you log in and you click on Foundations and you start doing some stuff, you will not see anything here. And even if you log back in like 20 minutes or something later, you will not see anything. All right. So this is a worldwide server, and it takes time for it to update and integrate and synchronize all the information. Okay, so they say that about 24 hours to synchronize all the time. But just know, don't be scared if you log in and you don't see it here. It will show up eventually, so you will know how many hours you have used Rosetta Stone. All right, so I know different classes have different requirements. I don't know if Spanish is requiring it at all, but Rosetta Stone is an easy way to get attendance hours. If your professor is requiring attendance hours, Rosetta Stone, 1 hour of work in Rosetta Stone equals 1 hour of attendance, basically. Also, Rosetta Stone is part of a competition that we run called Passport Rewards. So every Friday afternoon, we check what you have done in Rosetta Stone, and then we will send you an email on Friday if you have spent more than 30 minutes using Rosetta Stone that week. Okay, so we check it, we send it, and then between now and week 7, whoever has the most out of all the languages, week 7 will give a $10 gift card. And then we start counting over at week 8 through week 14. Whoever has the most will give them a $10 gift card. So to actually use the software, you're going to click on Foundations. And my laptop, my home network is always a little bit slow. All right. So this is Unit 1. That's probably where most of you will show up. Rosetta Stone only counts time when you are actively clicking. All right. So my big mistake when I first started using Rosetta Stone was that I would like work, click the vocabulary lesson, and I'd like start writing down the vocabulary and trying to make flashcards and stuff. That's not the type of software Rosetta Stone is. Okay. They don't want you to take notes. They don't want you to stop and look up information or anything. They want you to click and answer as fast as you can. Even if you click wrong, that's better in terms of your learning and your brain's, fluency than taking a lot of extra time to think about it. So they want you to go as fast as you can. I mean, it's up to you, but in terms of if you need 2 hours or you need 20 hours, you have to be clicking on Rosetta Stone for Rosetta Stone to count that as time. So we have a lot of students who say, I spent 2 hours, with Rosetta Stone. Yeah, but Rosetta Stone only had you clicking for 20 minutes. So maybe you were making notes during the rest of the time, but Rosetta Stone doesn't. We only can go by the counter in Rosetta Stone. All right. So don't try to take notes, just answer as quickly as you can. And the truth is, lesson 1 is kind of hard to see here, but lesson 1 is kind of short. And that's because lesson 2 is going to be longer because it's going to repeat what lesson 1 has. And then lesson 3 is even longer, and lesson 4 is even longer. And they always repeat. And even when you go to the next unit, it's going to repeat. Okay. You'll see that the first lesson is the longest out of all of them, the core lesson. All right. That's because that's the introduction. It introduces all of the vocabulary, all the grammar, all the content for the lesson. If they don't really expect you to get 100% in the core lesson because they're introducing everything. All they're really trying to do with the core lesson is poke holes in your brain so that when you go on to pronunciation and speaking, that, and the other ones, that it'll be easier for you to follow along. and the information will fall into slots that have been put into your brain. All right. But, sometimes I don't feel like doing 30 minutes. Sometimes I just want to do a 10-minute or a 5-minute. So I'll click on vocabulary and I'll go through vocabulary first sometimes. So it is your choice. But let me show you kind of what it's like. It will ask me to set up my microphone every time, because sometimes your microphone is picking it up well, and sometimes it's not so well. So every time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and that's what you want to see, is that it's successful. Okay.
Konnichiwa.
All right, so notice anytime you see the black box, so anytime the words move up and there's a black box, Rosetta Stone wants you to speak the answer, okay? And this is really for the non-romantic languages, but you can change down here the type. So for Japanese,
こんにちは
you can change to Romaji, which is what we're going to do, so that it's basic alphabet. You hear it saying the ding, okay? Ding. The ding is, okay, come on, pause. The ding is your start. So there's no start recording button and stop recording button, all right? When you hear the ding, that's when Rosetta Stone wants you to start speaking. And then you have to be silent, because Rosetta Stone listens for silence to stop. That's their stop button, is silence, okay? So you want to, if you're working in a place that has some weird background noise or something, you might get low scores on the speaking part, on the pronunciation part, because it's listening for silence, all right? Let's try this one more time.
こんにちは
Konnichiwa. Not too bad.
こんにちは
So it'll score you. If it's correct, it moves on. And
女の子、男の子、男の子。
all right. So then I sometimes it'll give you at the beginning like a study type page. So here we have the girl and the boy. So now down here, I'm supposed to match the picture to the top part, right? So matching to the boy, I'm guessing this is boy. There you go.
女の子、
Now, I'm taking time to do that, right? But remember, I told you Rosetta Stone wants you to move as fast as you can so that it becomes automatic and your brain becomes fluent. Okay.
女の
Going to
子、
be another pronunciation one, which I don't need to go through. Let's see if I can find another example. That's another pronunciation one. Okay, this is a different.
ジュースジュースジュース
All right, so it's kind of hard to see, but when I scroll over it, it'll put a bigger preview down there. So from these 3 pictures, it wants me to choose the correct one. So I'm going to guess juice.
ジュースお茶お茶
All right, so it's the same 3 pictures, different order, but juice.
お茶水
And then you figure out the last one.
水
All right, so this is Rosetta Stone.
男の人は食べています
All right, so I skipped a couple, but even though if we had gone all the way through, you probably would only know about one of these words, because notice there's a man, there's a woman, there's a boy and a girl. And it looks to me like they're all eating. So the rest of it's probably about eating. So what you're really looking for is it the man, woman, or boy or girl? So, if you guess wrong, you still only have
男の人、
3 wrong guesses before you get it
男
right.
の人は食べ、女の人は食べてい
It
ま
just
す。
keeps adding words. And so if we had gone through this, we would know onna no hito is woman, and then we'd teach ourselves, oh, tabate masu, that's eating. All right. So we would get, so you learn the onna no hito, and then it adds something that you don't know, and you have to guess what it means. And frankly, a lot of times I guessed wrong, but then when I got to the next unit, then I went, oh, that's what it means. It means swimming. It doesn't mean fish, okay, or something like that. So it's all about trying to guess right in terms of Rosetta Stone, okay? All right, so that's the recording part of it really is the most important part. The going, under home, if you want to change, you can change sections. If you want to skip ahead, you think you got lesson 1. What I find I do is I'll do 2 or 3 things from lesson 2, and then I'll skip to lesson 3. And then I'll do 2 or 3 things. And then I go back to lesson 2 and do one of the other ones that I had skipped. As far as we're concerned, we don't care if you go straight down. Rosetta Stone they do believe in their philosophy that, going step by step, their steps, you're going to learn the best, but everybody learns differently. So you'll find a rhythm and a pattern that you like. But start using Rosetta Stone early. It doesn't follow your textbook exactly, but you'll be able to pick up a lot that does follow your textbook, and then it'll work back and forth, and it'll stick in a lot deeper. So we were talking about Rosetta Stone, and that's pretty much everything. And the instructions here for the app, if you want more information. The next part of what I said we would cover, and what your professors want you to know about, is language partners. All right. So language partners, I know some Japanese professors require it. Some do not. So I'm not sure about yours. So all of them will give you extra credit for it, though. All of the Japanese anyway. For Japanese, there are specifically Japanese language partner activities. Okay. How do you find them? You find them under the language partner link, either on the side menu or from home. All right. When you click on the JLP activities, you'll find Japanese activities. These are written specifically for Japanese students. Follow your textbook, chapter 1, chapter 3, okay? Korean also have some of those. Spanish has some, but they're different. They're not for language partners. They're actually for tutoring. But they were written to follow the textbook for Spanish. So language partners, I'm gonna have to get out of the student view here and switch to another language. But just know that if you are in Japanese class, that they want you to choose the language partner activities that say Japanese on them. All right. The other languages like Spanish and Italian, when you go to language partners, you'll just have generic language partner activities. They're not going to match up to your textbook exactly, but they will give you a chance to practice a lot of information. The Word file or PDF. Honestly, I'm advising Japanese and Korean students to use the Word file because that's easier to type in hiragana, etc. The PDF, though, for most languages, other languages, is fine. So you fill in the blanks where you see this. And it starts out, most of them, all of them start out with translating some vocabulary. And then you're going to start translating sentences or writing sentences. And all of them will have a dialogue creation where you have to write a little dialogue. But the very first one is always really easy, like, hi, how are you? Fine, thank you. And but you just, you do that in another language. But then the last part is where you're going to perform your dialogue, which means you're going to record yourself and your partner doing the dialogue. So if you're recording online in the Zoom meeting, at the end of the meeting, before you stop the recording, you're going to say, all right, you be speaker 1 and I'll be speaker 2. And then they're going to read their line, you'll read your line, they'll read your line, and you'll go back and forth. All right. But when my staff are looking to grade these language partner activities, they're looking for the recording, not just the beginning recording, but they're looking for that final performance of the dialogue where you're recording, what you just wrote. Speaker 1 and speaker 2 are saying the lines. And they're looking for this document being saved and uploaded to the Canvas. All right. So going back to Canvas, I skipped over a couple of things. Those of you, if you're in Japanese class and they do require, or if you're in another class and they do require language partners, then the first step is to apply. So you fill out, click here. It's going to take you to another page. And the very first link is the application. We use the same application for all the languages. Okay. And so you just fill this out. It basically asks you questions like, what language you're studying and what's your native language? Are you fluent in Chinese as your native language, etc.? It will ask you what time of day you're available. It'll ask you if you're a female. It'll ask you if you're comfortable meeting with a male or not. Males, we don't even ask you. We don't give you a choice. We just check in with the females, see what they say. Once you apply, within a week, you will get an email from us with, it'll say, this is your partner's name and this is your partner's email. Please reach out to them and set up a time for you to meet and work together on a language partner activity. All right. So if you do not get an email from us within a week, it's because we don't have anybody to match you with. So the sooner you apply, the more options we have to match you with. A lot of people forget until later in the semester, and then we really are stuck with, and it's hard to find people. But if it's been a couple weeks and you haven't heard from us, reach out. All right. So on the homepage of all of our Canvases, we have our email address at the bottom. All right. And also under LLC information, there's always a contact there. So you can reach out to us and check in. But when we create your pair and send you the email, we also create the partner Zoom links. Okay. And so the link will say your name and your partner's name. I'm going to go back to Japanese because they're the ones that have the most active language partners. So I can show you language partners here. I'm clicking language partners. All right. So you've applied. We've sent you an email saying so-and-so is your partner. Okay. Then we've created a Zoom link just for you and your partner. And so it'll say your name and your partner's name. It'll say your pair number. And when you click on it, it opens a Zoom meeting and it starts recording right away. All right. And so one of you will have to share your document, and that person will have to do the typing. Although, if you get more familiar with this, then as you get more familiar with Zoom, you can give other people control of the mouse, but I don't think you can give them control of the keyboard. I don't know. But I always say one of you type and make the other person give you the answers. If you have to do the typing, make the other person look up the answers. But you can figure it out. You'll make your choice. But don't forget, so this will record the whole hour or hour and a half that you're working on the activity. So you can do it at any time, day or night. But don't forget, at the very end, go ahead and say, okay, you're going to be speaker 1, I'm speaker 2. You start, dozo yoroshiku onegaishimasu, hajimashite, whatever. And I don't think I made any sense right there, but you will when you're doing it. And just make sure that you include that part before you stop recording. Otherwise, it'll slow down your grade for the language partners. And there was a question from someone about whether it's up to the professor whether language partners is required or not. Yes, 100%. Now, any of you can do it. I mean, if you're a Spanish student and you want to sign up for language partners, go for it. It's the purpose of language partners was to try to force synthesis. So force higher level skills to be involved in the language learning process, so that we wanted some of the words to be in the activity to be familiar with you, and some of them you have to look up, and then you're going to start using them. So there's a synthesis between what you learn in the classroom and then, bringing in new information. And some students really enjoy it because it really speeds up fluency, and some students, they suffer through it because they have to. So hopefully you won't suffer through it. Hopefully you'll be able to find and recognize the usefulness in it if you do choose to do it. Here, if you're doing a language partner activity, you would click here, and then you'll upload your completed and one with saved information. You'll just click on the upload button here and then send it. Okay. All right. So just a second. For registration information, if you go to mountsac.edu/LLC, mountsac.edu/LLC, and then under LLC registration, the current semester CRNs will be there. And you click on that and scroll down, and then you'd probably want to use the online CRN for whichever language you're in. So, and then here's the instructions, log into your portal, go to student self-service, go to number 4 under student self-service, etc. And, you will register yourself. And then after you register, within an hour or 2 hours, you will have access to the LLC Canvas. And that's where we run Rosetta Stone through. That's where we run language partners through, basically because we want to know that only Mount SAC students are using our licenses and our materials. And by putting it online, then everybody has access to it. All right. So we do look for the completed forms here. There are instructions, all right? So you can look at the instructions for doing it online. That's would be a really good suggestion, I would guess. But there are a lot of steps to the language partners. But again, it's extremely helpful. The Japanese language partner activities are written, like I said, match their textbook. Regardless of which language you're in and whether your professor requires it or not, we have a contest. And out of all the languages, world languages, whoever does, whichever pair does the most language partner activities, then each person will get a $10 gift card. So we count the first half of the semester, so from now until week 7. And then week 8, we start counting again, week 8 through week 14, and we give another set of gift cards for whoever's done the most activity. We also have the same contest for Rosetta Stone. We give the gift cards at the end of week 7 and week 14 for whoever spent the most hours out of all the world languages. We don't put you in with ESL students because ESL students spend crazy amounts of hours in Rosetta Stone. If you're required to do 20 hours in Rosetta Stone, there's a very good possibility you might win a $10 gift card for doing that if you go a little bit beyond that. As far as language partners go, a lot of students are required to do 1. So if you do like 3 language partner activities, then you have a very good chance of winning in the language partner competition. All right. But the gift cards and the competition are just a chance for us to encourage you in what you're doing. Let me go to Spanish real quick, because the competition we have for Spanish is not for language partners, but it's for DLAs. So when I go to Spanish, under Spanish, you'll see the Spanish Past Tutoring link, okay? And this semester, unfortunately, it's gonna start a little late. The tutoring and the Spanish grammar game nights aren't gonna start until probably week 5. We're gonna push for week 4, but probably it's gonna be week 5. But we have all these DLAs, and the grammar ones match your syllabus exactly and your textbook exactly. So it's just and we have a competition. So if you do, one of these, well, you're not probably a heritage speaker, but let's say you do nouns and articles, and you fill in one of these forms, and you might have to watch videos to answer the questions. Then when you complete the form, you make an appointment with your tutor, all right? And when you meet with the tutor, you'll talk about it. And if you got mostly right answers, then a couple days later, you'll get an email from the Language Learning Center saying, hey, congratulations, you completed a DLA activity. Here's your stamp, here's your passport, okay? And so out of all the Spanish students, whoever does the most of these DLAs and meets with the tutor to review the DLA, then they'll get a $10 gift card at end of weeks. Actually, we're not doing the end of week 7 because we're probably just going to start week 5. So we're actually only giving one $10 gift card this time. But we also have Spanish grammar game nights that'll be announced later coming up. Japanese, we're still trying to figure out if we're going to have grammar game nights. Italian, we do have grammar game nights on Wednesday nights. It's the first time. It starts week 3, and you'll find that information under a link that says Italian tutoring. Okay, so you go to Italian tutoring, and it'll show you where to go for the grammar game nights. And then you'll see each week what the topic for the games are going to be. All right. So for Italian, you know, think about, I don't know if any teachers are requiring it, but I'm sure they'll give you extra credit if you come. I'm sure they would. All right, going to the last thing, unless I have other questions for something. Again, I'm going to use Japanese for the example. All of your languages we have available on Canvas, audio and or video. I think for Spanish, we might just put the video. I don't know if we put the audio. Probably both, sorry. I don't usually teach the Spanish orientation, so sorry, I'm not familiar with it, but we do have the audio online for the different textbooks. And then something new this semester is that we have a movie watch report where you can get attendance. So you can choose a movie and click here, download the form, fill out the form, either the PDF or the Word document, upload it here, and click submit. You can do it multiple times. You can submit multiple movie reports. They don't override each other. Multiple submissions are okay. They don't delete anything or override anything. Japanese, you can do this as an option, you know, but you have an assignment for Spirited Away. So, but if you look at the form is actually, part of it is written in hiragana. So that gives you an idea that they want you to wait until later in the semester to actually complete this assignment. But notice, any of you that do any of the movie watching assignments, or whether your teacher requires it or not, we will still send your teacher a report. And we send the teacher a report for our language partners. We send a report on how many hours have been done in Rosetta Stone, and we will send in the movie reports. All right. So, yeah, that's about it. Is any of you have a question, a question for me that I can answer?